Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is up, Chip? It's been forever since we've been on, at least since last night. Lots of developments in the crypto space, crazy commentary from government officials, amazing commentary out of Ripple with the Ripplenet ODL going live with SBI over in Japan-Philippine corridors. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Unfortunately, tonight, Rob Cash is not on the set, but he will be back with us. An emergency came up. So looking forward to having Rob on in the future, in the near future. But Chip, there's so much to cover, so little time to pack it all in. You ready to kick this thing off?
So why don't we get started?
How about it?
By the way, adjust your mic. Turn on the crisp. Just saying.
Oh, my crisp isn't on?
Welcome to On the Chain.
It was weird. I didn't really notice it until we went live.
It's on. My crisp is on.
No, you're getting tons of echo, man. For some reason.
Echo.
But not echoing us so much, but the tin can effect seems like it's a little tin can. Guys, drop in there where you're from. I want to see the city and the country so we can go and see where everybody's coming in from. And of course, turns out Rob Cash had something that came up unexpectedly, but don't worry, he will be on the set. It could be as soon as tomorrow, but you got to see if he can get some things sorted. And if not, we'll have him back next week. And regardless, he's going to be here. We will have some fun. But regardless of that, we always have way more stuff than we can ever get to and talk to. So rest assured that that's on tap. And before we get any further, I want to do a giant shout out to permission.io, sponsor of today's video. And if you are familiar with browsing the internet, you notice you get served up these ads here and there. And they're pretty much monetizing social networks. They collect a lot of info. They know what you clicked on, what you liked on the FB and the YT and all the other acronyms. And what's different about permission is it's the easiest way to earn cryptocurrency. And how it works, you go there, you register, you go to permission.io, sign up, register, just choose what you're going to share of your profile, how you want to share it. It's your data. You figure it out. And you install the browser plugin, goes on Chrome. That is where your ASK token, your ask token that's earned will go in there. And then you're normally doing what you always do, which is browsing that, looking for this, solving some problems. And they will serve up something like-minded. If they see something, they'll serve you an ad if you want to engage with it, potentially a video. And you can also they also have a bunch of things to get started, where there's a lot of videos. So anyway, check it out, permission.io. The link is down below. And it's especially your friends. If they're like, I don't know anything about crypto, great. Go to permission.io, install this, and you go do everything you normally do. Next thing you know, they start accumulating crypto. And then that turns into more questions. And all of a sudden, it's like, hey, I'm just doing what I always did, and I always earn this. So anyway, thank you, permission.io. Jeff, what's going on tonight?
Man, everything's great. Big shout out to Belfast, Ireland. We've got Anthony all the way in from Belfast. And we got Darcy all the way in from Galway. Even though he says Florida, are you guys nearby? So I don't know what Florida he's in, but normally he's over there on the other side of the ocean. Well, man, Chip, there's so many things to cover.
Yeah, do me a favor before you go any further.
Things to cover.
Did you check your mic? Did you check your mic?
Yeah, my mic is good. Maybe it's your headset.
No, it's not mine. I got a Bose headset. No, it just doesn't sound like your normal stuff. It's not crisp. No. It sounds like it's far away. I don't know what your mic is. It is crisp. And it's selected?
It is.
Well,
Yep. So we're good to go.
All right. Sounds a little bit weird. So today, like you said, we got this dropped on us. All of a sudden, I wake up to, bam, all of my European friends and OTC family shouting this puppy out. And this was a cool tweet that Ripple put out 18 hours ago. So kind of dropped it in the middle of the night, which makes sense. It's news about Japan announcing our newest on-demand liquidity corridor. Drum roll, please. Japan. So that's very cool. I love these little hamster areas, like where you can get like a giant hamster running through these. Remember the habit trails, Jeff, back in the day? They used to run through these little things. I built little cities all over my house, and the hamster went through there.
Oh, and you'd have those plastic tubes, and they were
plastic tubes. That's what those remind me of. But they're people.
And you could put them in a plastic ball and let them run around the floor.
Oh, that's exactly it.
Man,
guys, let me know if Jeff's mic sounds the same. It might.
My mic is great. My mic is great. I can't hear it. It sounds great to me.
Oh, it just sounds like it's.
Hey,
it sounds like it's.
you didn't even get into their article.
Well,
Man,
let's
the
do
Ripple
that.
article.
Let's do that. That's what I meant to do. I just had this other one pulled up.
First live on-demand liquidity offering in Japan. I didn't realize it was the first, to tell you the truth. I thought they already
well,
had
Japan,
some ODL.
well, no, not
going on
Japan
over there.
though. Well, not ODL. They and so I
I
watched.
think SBI. Yeah.
We will play this tomorrow, but Ashish Burla, who's the general manager over there at Ripple, was on with Tony Edwards. You know him best from Thinking Crypto. And one of the things he was talking about was he was saying that SBI was one of their first customers. Makes sense, right? You had Kitao, who is a president or a CEO of SBI, who invested, I think it was like 9% of Ripple, the company. He actually had invested in the company. And what he said was they were using the old Ripplenet product. He was like, sometimes these things take time. And it took a little bit of time before they could actually sort of segment over to actually using crypto. So that Ripplenet original product, Jeff, it wasn't really, it was kind of like a bridge to kind of hook people before you got them over into the full sort of using XRP, right? It was sort of more like a messaging type of a system, if I recall.
That is true. All right, now I got to fix my microphone.
I told you there's something weird about your mic,
microphone
man.
check.
Yeah, it's a little bit off. It's not too crazy, but you're usually
check.
Oh, now you got the wind.
Check. Mic.
This is really weird.
Chris.
It's really weird, Jeff. I don't know. It sounded like you were like far away, That's all.
My regular microphone is right here. I got it on auto. Maybe there's something wrong.
Yeah, there's something going on with it. I can't quite come up. But it says the Filipino diaspora is one of the 10 largest in the world, more than 5 million of its citizens abroad. Many of them, like Joyce de Guzman, live and work in a foreign city, so they can send money home to family members. Normal stuff, family bills. But for Filipinos, fueling the 1.8 billion USD in remittances that flow every year from Japan to the Philippines, because you have a lot of expats from the Philippines that basically are working inside of Japan. 1.8 billion is nothing to is a pretty nice number, and usually it can be pretty painful, getting money back home to loved ones. And the Philippines turns out to be the third largest when it comes to destination for remittances from Japan, and a little over 10.5%. The highest remittance cost in the world, almost twice as much as all the other G8 countries, almost 6%. Jeff, do you find that a little bit surprising though? Japan 6% charging stuff just from Japan to the Philippines?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not so bad.
That sounds a little bit better. Nice. What the heck's wrong with your mic tonight, man?
How's it now? Is it better?
Yeah, it's better now. There you go. So
I unplugged it, plugged it back in, and the HD came on. It was like,
well, it always,
HD.
when in doubt, switch it off and turn it back on,
When in doubt, reboot.
So now SBI Remit, that's the largest money transfer provider in Japan, teaming up with mobile payments, coins.ph, and digital asset exchange platform, SBI VC Trade to transform. And so that's where they're getting the liquidity from, coins.ph. So you have on one side, one exchange, the other one, and that's where you're getting the instant liquidity on the on-demand liquidity side.
Oh,
so
yeah.
And to me, Jeff, it's like these kind of quarters they set up.
Yep.
It sounds like, well, once it's set up, it sounds super easy. Like, well, it's set up. But the power behind that, 4 seconds, instant settlement, instant liquidity. And Jeff, you brought something up yesterday. You actually put it in the thumbnail. It's like, and it said, Swift go, no, Swift slow. So all they did was instead of sending the money and waiting 6 days to see what happened and say, oh, it failed. So they built in a sort of a compliance that goes and double checks it ahead of time and confirms it's the right place. And they still use the Vostro account. So it's like, and they say they're transparent about
nothing.
It's like
nothing, Chip.
Yeah, it's like it's like a little more icing on a cake. Hey, you want a little more spread? There you go. That's all there is.
So what's exciting about the ODL, which is different than any other solution, typically you need your Nostro Vostro accounts, or you need a third party that's going to help facilitate the liquidity. Now, Swift Go is still not an enterprise solution. Swift Go or Swift Slow, however you want to phrase it. If you're in the US and you're familiar with Zelle, Swift Go is basically another version of Zelle on an international scale, So it's not really meant for large volume payments. It's meant for small remittance payments. So Swift Go is really a competitor to MoneyGram. That's it. It's not revolutionary. It's not solving world problems. It's not trying to speed up the transfer of millions of dollars. It's not Ripple. It's not Ripplenet. And I think that's the point. And still, Ripplenet, all these other solutions out there, none of them have achieved ODL, on-demand liquidity. Because, Chip, you brought up Nostro Vostro accounts, millions upon millions of dollars sitting there stagnant in banks all over the world. And if you guys don't know what a Nostro Vostro account, Nostro meaning ours, Vostro meaning yours. And so if you're the Bank of the US, you have a Nostro account over at the Bank of England in the UK in order to facilitate settlement of dollar to pounds. From the Bank of England's perspective, that's your Vostro account. That's your account. So hence Nostro Vostro, and you have money sitting there with no real liquidity because the money's stagnant. So, Chip, I think, as we get into this and people fail to really identify the significance of ODL, and I'll tell you, as we get into some of these other articles, a big one who has no clue about what's going on in this space is Elizabeth Warren. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, let's not get into. I almost said it, Jeff. I didn't say it, but I'll just say let's not get into that right now. And let's flash this back up here because, and again, this is where people miss out about what the key differentiators against what Ripple is building, especially in the APAC region, Asia Pacific. It says, zooming out, the deal is part of their explosive growth in APAC region with growing e-commerce, cloud, increasing mobile populations, rising clarity. And what I like about what they're building is something Ashish mentioned on with Tony Edward on Thinking Crypto One. You guys should check that out. It's a very good interview. One of the things he said was we're working around whatever the regulatory clarity is in the region. So they're going about it the right way. Now they probably do the same in the States. Unfortunately, we know where that stands. But he was making the point that depending on where it is, they're working around it and they're working with the regulators because they sort of have something in place. And by the way, they run it by them. Hey, are we doing this right? Is this happening? Okay, this is what we're going to do. So if you have some sort of regulation in place, you can go to the regulators and you can work through it. So they're working around where the regulations exist. And I think that's one of the reasons. And Jeff, we were just talking about this the other day about how incredible the APAC region is because they, out of any place in the entire world, the face of the world, they get it. And in Japan, the different, everything's on your phone, man. And, you see what they're doing in China. Everything is, it's all phone. They're trying to get rid of, your regular sort of fiat currency. But this is a region that really understands it and gets it. And when you look at the U.S., that's a region that doesn't get much, if anything at all. And it says it comes on the heel of similar partnerships like the Novati and the Tranglo, as well as Ripple's recent hiring of finance technology veteran Brooks Entwistle, which was a big one. He's the managing director of the Southeast Asia. And then, so they're basically positioning themselves to deliver on APAC's this huge growth, this need for like faster, more affordable approaches to cross-border payments, and that's really what Ripple excels at, man. That's their well, I think so, yeah. Well, this is where people confuse it with other payment systems. They go like, well, what about XDC, and what about Hedera Hashgraph, and what about those are phenomenal, and they've got great use cases, but they're missing that on-demand liquidity because you send it there, and it's quicker and it's less expensive the way Swift is touting their thing, but at the end of the day, is it there in 4 to 5 seconds with complete remittance? And that's like you mentioned Zelle in the U.S. Jeff, I don't even think it's like Zelle in the U.S. Zelle is an agreement between banks that they earmark the money, it gets moved there, and it kind of like the actual transaction happens a couple of days later. I think it's still the old messaging system. I don't even think they've improved that.
I don't know if they have or haven't, but the functionality would be comparable to a Zelle.
Yeah, I get your point. Yeah,
in terms of the limitations and what you can do, what you can't do. So yeah, my mic is still echoing, but I don't know if that's now or earlier. I don't know if Freedom Fighter is listening from earlier or listening from now.
It sounds much better now, Jeff. I mean,
echo.
Not echo. It seems a little bit, almost more like a distant
loud.
thing.
Loud.
So now you're
really close to the mic. It's loud, Jeff.
It's out of control and crazy.
Yeah, it gets a little bit. It gets a
So
little
Chip,
bit.
I don't know if I'm a big fan of running around and paying for stuff with my phone.
What do you mean?
You
You're an
know,
old school guy?
yeah, I mean, you know, I
I
like
love it, dude. I use Apple
like
Pay
using
for
a credit
everything.
card. You know, I get it.
Well,
You know, but
dude,
you want to run
hang
around
on
with
a
your
second.
phone.
Hold
I'm not
up.
using my Apple Pay or my Amazon Pay or my Google Pay. I'm going to use the credit card pay.
Dude, hang on a second. Hold up. I can't show you mine because I got all my cards. Broop, my Apple Pay loads. I've got all my cards. I select the one, biometrics, and blink, and it's done. So I got my
Yeah.
Amex card in here. I got my 2 other bank cards. You know what I'm saying? They're all in here. So you're looking.
Well, did you know if you use your Amex, you don't get your Amex points
Yes, you do.
if you're using your card, if you use your Google Pay.
No, I'm not using Google Pay. I'm using Apple Pay, son. Pay attention. Come on. Apple
No,
Pay.
it's not as cool, man. You whip out the credit card, you get the hand them the metal card, and you're
Jeff,
just
I
like,
feel
"Here
like
you
you're
go."
getting it. Don't pull the old guy on me, dude. Don't do that. Don't do that old guy's nonsense with me, dude. It's way cooler on the phone. And I only go to gas.
Hello,
Yeah,
hello, Amex. I know you listen to me.
look at Jeff. He's got the old school phone. He's like pulling old guy here. No, man, dude. This is the whole thing with the whole idea of Apple Pay is it facilitates whatever payment I want through my whatever I choose. Because I just flip through it. I'll show it to you after this. You go.
I choose XRP.
And especially when I'm getting petrol, gasoline, I go to the pump, biometrics, ding, ding, in gas, boom, out. I'm out. I'm done.
So how
It's
about this?
done.
Now you
I get the
drive up,
notice.
you drive up to the gas station, and all of a sudden on the Android Auto on the screen, it pops up. Do you want to pay for your gas?
Well, they're building an
And I'm
Amazon
like,
Fresh store
get
by my
out of here.
house.
Get out of here.
So the Amazon Fresh, the way that works, they got the carts. Carts are set up. So if you got your app in here with your card already in there, when you put something in your card, it already totals it. There's no checking out. There's no cashier to go to. You just walk out of the store and you're done. Or if you take it out, it minuses. So this is.
And I don't believe in that newfangled technology you speak of.
Look at this guy, guys. I want to hear from the OTC family what your guys' thoughts are. Is Jeff just out of touch here or whatever? Come on, man.
Way
This is
out
the
of
only thing you
touch.
need. I could leave the house with this. It's your car key. It's everything, dude. You lose it, you're screwed. I mean, that's a whole different story. But that's another
Yeah,
thing. But
Car
I want to show you
keys,
this
your
amazing
money.
graphic.
So you got to memorize your credit card.
Look at
So
that,
if you
Jeff. That
memorize
looks-
your credit card number, you're all set.
Look at that graphic. This is a very exciting graphic right there. ODL mixing up in the lab. Right? This is from Cointelegraph talking about the Japanese remittance firm to use Ripple ODL for money transfers to the Philippines. Just a cool article on it. Let's see. It's pretty much the same stuff. But I always got to put this in. Despite Ripple's conflict with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission pertaining to the XRP securities lawsuit, Ripple frontman, like he's a frontman now. Did you know he was in a band? Usually call him the CEO, the leader, but he's now a frontman.
He's the front man. He's out there.
Thank you for coming tonight. We're going to launch into our biggest hit. It's called ODL. Let's go, people. Right? I mean, a frontman. It's usually like somebody that fronts a band. It's like frontman, big frontman informed the company, not suffering
Yeah, you see
setbacks.
that? Man, Hans knows. That's Saturday morning show, Jeff.
Yeah, old
Or
school
that
Jeff.
Saturday morning show, Jeff.
Yeah.
I don't know how to read it. You get it. Yeah.
Look at this. He says, John Doe says, hey, I'm tech savvy, at least I think, and I work in IT, but not even very big into the advanced pay methods. You're an old guy too, John Doe.
See that? Boom.
And all that. Imagine
See?
people like me.
And he's in his mid-30s.
Come on,
Mid-30s.
dude. I'm older than you. What are you talking about? That's
There you
insane.
go. He's all about the credit card.
Embrace
All
the
about that.
technology.
What is this? What is this digital currency you speak of? All this crazy digital currencies.
Hey, Jeff. Anthony Johnson says, hey, Jeff, quit being a boomer. This is crypto, bro. Boomer. You're such a boomer, dude.
Man,
Look
that's
at you,
crazy.
boomer. Calling you, man.
Boomer.
John Doe's laughing.
How do you qualify? How do
You're a boomer, dude.
As a boomer? How do you qualify as a boomer?
You have to be born at 64 before. You're a boomer, dude.
I am not a boomer.
Yes, you are a boomer. You
I'm
act like a
not.
boomer. All right, let's qualify this. You act like a boomer.
Dude.
Right? Was that more apropos or no?
And I'm Gen X.
All right,
Best
Gen
generation
X
of all time.
who's not adopting crypto, dude. That's unheard of.
Gen X was the best generation of all time post World War II.
Maybe not. Anyway, one of my favorite people on Twitter is Panos. Mostly because he's got a pretty cool looking mustache, goes with the black and white gray picture. This picture photo could have been taken, it could have been taken like, the late turn of the previous century, like maybe the 1890s or last week, right? It's really cool. But I love Panos because he's always laying down like the knowledge, and he says here, so he's taken Brad's tweet, an old tweet. He says Swift GPI is like putting a Ferrari shell on a Model T engine. It's a cosmetic upgrade on old infrastructure. Messaging is still not tied to settlement. It's unidirectional, and it can't solve for liquidity. Basically what we just said, of course, well, better said
in different words.
in better words, more elegantly by the front man of the new hottest band called Ripple. So Panos says Swift Go is a marginal improvement on top of an outdated and obsolete infrastructure. Just exchange of data with unidirectional messaging when Ripple offers the exchange of value, right?
Value. Dude, that I couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, you
like
said
that.
this, the
exchange of value. That's right.
Nostrovostro and pre-funded liquidity model is bad for the world economy and must end. It's just dumb. All that money's sitting out there wasting time. It's silly. I really don't understand why they do it. Tiago Pinto says, what's up, boys? I guess Japan just crapped all over the SEC's claims that XRP has utility. Yeah, they dropped the big one, and they did. They dropped something, right? And thank you for that, Tiago. Appreciate that. Yeah, well, this is another thing where they said, well, they don't have a utility. What kind of utility? Well, look at this. They're solving a multi-billion-dollar problem here with remittances. And so, Jeff, now look at all the fees that are going to disappear from 5%, almost 6%. It was almost 6% in fees to almost nothing, like drops, nothing. Magic fairy dust, something like that.
It's amazing. I mean, they're sending millions of dollars across the ledger using Ripplenet. And it's like you said, pennies on the dollar, fraction of a penny on the dollar. Use all these other platforms, man. There's a lot of money in moving money, remittance payments. Think about all that static money just sitting in those Nostro Vostro accounts. Think about how the banks benefit from it. All the banks, moving all that stuff, man. It's crazy.
Look at this, Jeff. If you're Swift.
What
are you excited about? Let's be honest, okay? We're excited to announce. Okay, you're excited to announce something because you never announced anything. Maybe that's what the excitement's around. To announce the launch of Swift Slow, which I love you coined that. Swift Slow, slower, slightly marginal, quicker. A new service that transforms the experience of small business consumers when sending money. Did you notice how vague they were in the details? I was looking on their website and it says, it's faster, and we've removed any sort of some of the failure rates. Okay,
transforms.
So Panos weighs in and says, hey, by leveraging XRP, Ripple introduces a new payment settlement model that unlocks the trapped liquidity around the world, as those Nostrovostros, in trillions, Jeff, trillions of dollars sitting out there. Now, what you're a bank, why would you want to be pre-funding all these accounts?
Well, that's a big part of it. But if you're the bank holding all those trillions, you kind of want it.
Look at
that's where the pushback comes from. That's right, Gen X. But that's the whole thing. That's the reason why you get, I think, a little bit of a hesitancy, coming from the banks, because as you're setting up all these Nostro Vostro accounts and you're holding all that money, that's like, free. That's free liquidity for them. Like, hey, I got your 100 million sitting in my account. Let's see what I should do with it. Let me
keep it there.
Figure something out. You can leave it here all you want.
So Alex Coining 203 says, think about this Hinman deposition yesterday. ODL live in Japan today. It's pretty obvious.
It is very obvious.
I've been hearing some people drawing some comparisons, but yeah, it's a good day to drop news. I mean, they might have known about this for a week or 2 weeks, whatever. But even Ashish Burla said, man, this stuff takes time. If SBI was their first customer going back to 2015 era, maybe 5-6 years ago, and I'm just guesstimating because I don't know when they actually signed the agreement, to 2021 rolling it out, the timing is very suspicious, Alex. I will give you that. It does seem almost like they're getting some momentum, but I almost see that APAC region is blowing up, and I don't care what happens. The SEC can implode and keep stepping on their what over and over again, and it's not going to matter much because the world is moving on without the SEC and their non compliance or whatever you want to call it, their non-regulatory action. Who cares? Ripple just move. Ripple will move. Like one day you wake up and like, oh, well, Ripple's still in San Francisco, and the next morning they'll be like, oh no, there's Singapore. Whoa, what happened?
Like, oh no, we moved, we moved to Japan. Sorry, guys.
It happens that fast.
SEC wasn't being compliant, so we relocated.
So anyway, he wrote a phenomenal. He put this together. I'm not going to go through it, but I'm going to tell you this is really good. He put this back in 2020, and it's really well. Disrupting Swift GPI and corresponding banking. And even though he wrote this a little over a year ago, it still holds true. I read the article and I'm like, it's the same stuff. Where he really breaks it down in a great way. If you guys are interested in reading this, let's throw this in there. But it's a really phenomenal, well written, easy to understand. Where he talks about, your bank, your relationships, how remittance. Even has a nice little chart here, right? So you can kind of like zoom in on that. This is Panos. That's the same guy we were looking at his tweets.
Oh, that's from Panos. Oh, yeah. Nice.
So, it, again, talks about how, and then the other part, here was the other part that Swift talked about. They talked about the FX exchange, right? Because they still have the FX problem because of the currency exchange. So you're still going to
have all sorts of problems. Yeah.
Well, they didn't eliminate that. They still talk about it like it was eliminated. It's not eliminated. But anyway, and this was this is what he pulled out in his last tweet.
Yeah. They just need to be replaced.
He breaks it down really nice. I'd say it's a really good read, guys. You gotta want to go in that and check it out. It's a very fun sort of
so Chip, so you have ODL going live. You get a lot of excitement. You got all this stuff going on. You got all this talk about, Bitcoin from Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey, all this, movement in the crypto space here in this country and all over the world. And then you have certain people that are like, this isn't going to work. There's no way crypto is helping anybody. And, I got to bring this one up because it's just timely. I can't hold back any longer.
Jeff, go on.
Elizabeth Warren shoots down a key reason investors buy Bitcoin and then calls for tighter regulation. Now, here's a woman that didn't even know what Bitcoin was 2 months ago. Right now, all of a sudden, she's the financial expert of all crypto and interaction of cryptocurrencies with inflation and all of this. I think she's an attorney, if I'm not mistaken, right? I don't think she got her degree in economics or finance.
Yeah, she's an American Indian. She told us that for 40 years.
Forgot about that part.
Okay.
But no, here she told CNBC she's skeptical Bitcoin will prove to be a reliable hedge against inflation over time. She's skeptical. What's her empirical data? What's her evidence? Look at what's happened in the high volatility and the price of these things. The price of these things. Okay. The idea that they're somehow these things, the
price of these things. What are these things?
What are these things?
Price.
I don't think that's going to be borne out over time. Many crypto bulls see Bitcoin as durable long-term store of value. We know that. And then there she is. Here she is getting ready to talk about why she doesn't believe, what it is. Here she said, people can make their own investment decisions, but to do that somehow assumes two things. One is that what's happening with Bitcoin or any other crypto is somehow going to be divorced from what's happening elsewhere in the economy. The second assumption is crypto coins are not going to have their own inflationary pressures.
Oh God, that's kind of funny that you would point that out. Is she saying it's immune from that, Jeff? Is that the point that she's making and why crypto is better?
She countered such a notion, saying inflation may come from a different source than what happens with dollars. But look at what's happened in the high volatility and the price of these things. I mean, she says nothing.
She says nothing. Jeff. She's a nutter.
Nothing. Absolutely. There, and then they get in obviously what's going on. But I look at somebody like her, I'm like, come on, it's just like, does she really have anything, relevant to add? No. I guess she's a senator. She probably sits on the right committees. They're probably going to need her, vote to pass some sort of regulatory approval. But all it is, it's just for her. She calls for a tighter regulation. It's all politics, and it's a run on cash for her, and that's it. and she has zero knowledge, zero. It just, man, it drives me crazy. Why even come out and say something? Just keep it zipped and then talk when you know something.
Well, because because it's all part of creating a narrative, Jeff, and it's all of this goes into the next thing. So here's the next big deal. The White House says the crypto tax enforcement will help pay bipartisan infrastructure deal. Now, the very first wrong thing that's wrong with this is this word right here. There is no bipartisan support. Now, what you do is you get the two nutter rhinos, and that stands for Republican in name only, who are really belong to the other party, but they like to make themselves feel good and get invited to better parties. So they call themselves Republicans. They're just Republican in name only, or better known as rhinos. And they go like, yeah, I'm down with that. So there's one or two of them, and then they go like, see, it's bipartisan. We've got support on both sides, from the people who really belong in our party to nobody else from the other party. So this is, I've seen this everywhere, and I'm like, this is the going narrative. It's bipartisan, Jeff. It must be fantastic. A month in the making infrastructure bill, U.S. Senate will be partially paid by enhancing the tax enforcement of crypto. Now, this is not popular in the Senate. It's not popular with the Republicans in the House, but yet but when they throw out that word bipartisan, though the text of legislation said to be struck on Wednesday after a long period of times of acrimonious negotiations between Democrats and Republicans on Capitol Hill, it's not publicly available. A White House fact sheet mentions crypto enforcement as one of the top spending offsets. Here are the notes. Years ahead, deal with blah, 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 a bunch of legalese, garbage stuff. Reported Wednesday, a separate fact sheet reviewed, said it would raise $28 billion. Now, Jeff, how do you raise $28 billion from when there's not even a $2 billion market cap on crypto? How does that work? Someone pointed that out on Twitter earlier, and if I didn't give you, I don't remember who did that. I read so many tweets a day, but somebody actually pointed that out.
Well, obviously, math isn't their thing.
Well, it is.
If math was their thing, they would figure out how to balance the budget and do all that other stuff that needs to happen. But when they're looking for ways to get more money to fund all of their handouts, then they'll do anything they can to take it. Or even better yet, maybe these guys are projecting and they're like, you know what? When we unleash this thing for real, it's going to be trillions. So $28 billion is like a drop in the bucket. So maybe they're actually forecasting, something positive, saying, hey, we want 28 billion in tax revenue from crypto that has a $2 billion market cap, and then they're going to be like, hey, is it 2 billion or 2 trillion? What is it?
I don't know. They're nuts. So you can always find you get closer to the truth as you scroll down on these articles. For example, Republican senators have pushed back against the inclusion of the enhanced IRS enforcement. And mention it again, guys, make sure you get that in there, a bipartisan bill, even though they're telling you that they disagree with it. Though it appears that the existing draft retains the crypto specific provisions. Former President Trump also urged Republicans in the Senate to reject the deal. And I can't agree more. It's a horrible deal. Everything they're trying to put through there is just absolutely horrible. And so, but just mention this word a few times and we'll all pretend and yell kumbaya. We're all in accordance because the two nutters who belong in the other party said, yeah, it might be all right. It might be good.
Kelly brings it up. That was a misspeak. That's why I corrected that. 2 trillion, not 2 billion.
Oh, 2 trillion. Wow. There you go. You misspoke. It doesn't matter. 2 trillion, 2 billion, whatever. The whole thing is just pathetic. Here they talk about, in this article here, they call it a 30 billion. They're going to raise 30 billion through crypto taxes. Could mean a number of individuals interacting with crypto may have to start reporting their transactions. Yeah, well, good for that. So, and the other part of it too, Jeff, is when they start saying, according to the bill shared, and it's a draft, which means it's not even going to be close to what the final copy is. So I like that they're floating it because you're going to get a lot of, you get a lot of the people in crypto are like, this is a horrible idea. And then they storm the castle and then they take out the king and they live happily ever after and start distributing the food.
Right. And then you get 72-cent XRP. That's what you get. Look at that.
Yeah, look at that. I was hoping to go the other way, but anyway, it's all good.
Let it go. Look at that. Bitcoin at 40,000. They said it couldn't happen.
Look at this. This one cracked me up from Crypto Eddie. She said, this following Bitcoin's every move is getting ridiculous. I've had enough. I'm going for a walk. And sometimes that's the best way to do to clear out your head. Go for a
That was a
walk,
good one.
kind of clear it up a little bit, because you do get a little, because, nothing moves and then Bitcoin moves and all of a sudden you have the whole world, behind it. It's all like everything's tied to Bitcoin. At some point, there will be a massive decoupling. I don't know when that's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen, but Jeff, we've been playing, the Mila Kunis and the Ashton Kutcher little bits with, interacting with Vitalik Buterin. We've been playing those here. And so there's kind of some more. There's actually a good interview with Mila Kunis. So I hear that, let me put this up on the screen, share the video. Oh,
Well, do that. Let me put this up while you're doing that. Hans is saying on the Change Live, your subscribers went from 7.2 to 7.4 this week. Congrats on the growth.
Thank
on
you.
our way to 17.5 and then 18,000 right there in the crosshairs. How about that?
It's all good, man. So let's put this up here. Let's watch a little bit of this, because I think what's interesting in this whole thing is that when you start to think of what we're going to hear in this interview with Mila Kunis, is that what used to happen 2, 3, 4 years ago wasn't possible, of why a project is getting funded today. So let's listen in.
Studios sometimes force feed you content. Like there is a world where your options are oddly limited, where they try to predict what it is that you're going to like. And so you kind of get like these 7 options and that is what you get. And so we're trying to, I guess, find a model where we're going to allow, by people being able to purchase the NFTs, to dictate what they want to watch. So the NFTs that you buy is the content that we would create. Ultimately, it's like what came first, the chicken or the eggs. And so we're trying to kind of see what this version looks like. If people purchase the NFTs, or rather when people purchase the NFTs, then that'll only make the show more successful. The more successful the show, the more successful your NFTs. So it goes hand in hand. So you do ultimately, as a viewer, have ownership within the content and say within the content.
Yeah, so I mean, what she's talking about is that Stoner Cat series, and what they're doing is they're funding the entire series. And the funny thing is Vitalik is going to play like some overlord cat. I don't know. They got a bunch of little cats in there, and he's going to portray one of them, which I think is why he's in town. He's probably doing the voiceover. They're probably getting some of the scripting done. But what I like about this, which I don't know, sometimes designed by, committee, doesn't always work out. But in a case like this, where it's an animated show, they're NFTs, based on how people are, what they're buying and what they're doing, will actually drive potentially the storyline of an animated series. And this is something that wasn't even possible, let's say, 2 years ago. So that's one of the things that I think is, pretty amazing about this. I don't know, Jeff, I don't know your thoughts on that, but I think it's and this is an adult series too. This isn't here. Let me throw this up here.
It'll be interesting when it rolls out.
Yeah, we'll have to keep, but I like the whole idea, the fact that
I'll have them on the show.
I'd love to have him on. I asked Ashton if he'd come on here, and he's like, "Who the hell are you again?" I asked if he'd come on here. I'm like, "Come on, man, do the on the chain here." But this is it right here. This is your higher consciousness, and here they are. So he plays Lord Catsington, better known as the spirit guide. That's Vitalik, and then you've got Mila Kunis. She's playing Fifi. She's known as the Alpha Cat. You've got Ashton Kutcher, which he's going to be back. So you can see their animated counterparts here. Let's see that one. Yeah, that looks like Vitalik.
Nice.
The eyes are a little bit misplaced, but close enough, right?
Yeah, very close.
Yeah, and then you've got Kutcher, and he's the Baxter.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense too.
Known as the Hackster. You've got Jane Fonda. Did you think Jane Fonda would be part of Stoner Cats? Hell yeah. That's pretty damn good for 80s, Jeff.
All right, I guess I won't be watching anymore.
She's Miss Stoner, the matriarch. So no, she's like the lady that probably like introduces the cats and you never see her again. Like a walk on road.
She just ruined it. They just
Chris
ruined
Rock is Hamilton the Bold.
Sweet.
And then you've got Seth MacFarlane, who's awesome as well. He's Dave the Free Spirit, and Reginald the Sophisticat. Of course, he does a lot of cool voices too. And I thought that was just pretty cool, man. It's like, this whole idea of the series, from drawing to completion. So here's the thing. The only way to watch Stoner Cats is if you own Stoner Cats token. If you own the collectible NFT, you gain membership to a super cool club. So there's also that exclusivity part of it, which I really like, because it's really never been done this way before. That club is your admission into the show. Plus you get access to exclusive stuff and fun perks. Why, you ask, Jeff? Go ahead, ask why, Jeff.
Why would we want to do that?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you right here. Because we believe the content creators and fans should be able to connect and trade art and make tons of money. No, that's me inserting that. And directly without all the bureaucratic bullshit. To put it bluntly, with blockchain technology, we believe there's a new way for fans to engage directly with the content they want to watch, be part of the content creation. The animated series, the NFT collectibles, is our hopeful science experiment to see who wants to join the revolution. Did I just say join? Yeah, I meant join the revolution. So yeah, it is a fun,
It's
interesting.
Cool. And
Yeah,
it kind of gets a little boring.
I like it, man. I think it's a great idea. I want to have a walk on roll as a cat. I want to be the dog or something. You know, you can be like
That'd
a
be
cool looking
pretty cool.
dog.
And
I'll be
then chase the cat
Chipper
boy.
the dog. I'll roll in there. You know, what do you think, Jeff? I think it's.
I like it.
I'll make
Very
my own
cool.
NFT and I'll just crash the show and be like, "Who's this nutter?" So
Yeah. Trying to see on. I can't open that. Never mind. That article's gone.
which one, Jeff?
It's that article on the on all that cash that went over to that
I have it.
group over in India.
Yeah,
I
I
thought that
got.
was kind of cool to talk about.
Yeah, let's pull that up next because it plays into Vitalik Buterin. So you remember that he was gifted, what was he gifted? Is this, am I seeing this? Am I going to see the article? Yeah, I think so. So what happened to all that $1 billion India COVID aid relief crypto donation? I'm looking for where it is. Is this the right article?
No, it's all the way at the end.
Oh yeah, right there. For starters, there it is right there. Buterin's gift of 50 trillion Shiba Inu. Remember they gave it to him like the next day, like blew it out and dropped
Oh,
the
you just
market.
moved it on. Oh yeah, yep. That's perfect.
5% of the meme
Perfect timing.
tokens, yeah, in circulation spurred a 50% crash in the price. Tokens should eventually amount to about 400 million. Local regulations have also taken up time in order to comply with India's Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, but at least they have an act that defines how that works. I've been converting the tokens into dollars and then rupees, which could be detrimental. Could drop it down to 200 million. I don't know. 80% of it's completed so far. So he's also been cautious with the disbursement because he's paid out 20 million so far with another 20 million in the pipeline. Wants to ensure the money reaches the grassroots level and ultimately gets spread out in funding into people's pockets, which we'll never learn about. I don't know. I made that
And those are definitely the legit concerns. But what's amazing is that you take that Vitalik said, "Here, I don't want it." Gave it to these, gave $1 billion in Shiba to these guys. They've been cashing it out. $20 million cashed out. I mean, from zero. They run a nonprofit over there, and they're trying to figure out how to get the rest little by little. They're pulling it out, but $20 million. I mean, that's like, has anybody ever came over to a nonprofit and said, "Here's $1 billion. Good luck"? I don't think anybody's done it. I haven't seen Bill Gates do it.
Not $1 billion.
I haven't seen Jeff Bezos do it. I haven't seen the Google guys do it. I haven't seen Zuckerberg do it. Take $1 billion and put it towards something better. Now, granted, Vitalik said, "Here you go. This was gifted to me. I gift it to you. Good luck." But man, as that nonprofit, could you imagine they're getting $1 billion, even if it turns out to only be $20 million cap? Could you imagine? I mean, those guys, nonprofit, whatever they're doing over there in India, and they're right. They need an audit firm. They have to make sure it's done right, make sure it doesn't get redirected. And it's not unique to an organization like this, because we know down in Haiti, when the Red Cross was involved down in Haiti, a lot of money was donated to the Red Cross and went unaccounted for and just disappeared into who knows where. And
wasn't on the blockchain. Yeah.
So wasn't on the blockchain, just disappeared.
According to this, 50 trillion Shiba Inu, which is going to be a roughly 400 million, but I think that's going to actually be less because Shiba's been dropping big time in price. And also too, once you convert the dollars and then the dollar conversion, the FX
to
the rupee is going to be even more detrimental. They might end up with 200 million, but you're making a great point, Jeff. Nobody does that. And here's Vitalik on a whim, like, "Hey man, I'm going to donate it." And, you know, you can say what you want about the guy, but this was the second donation. Wasn't there another one as well? Something was gifted to him where he made a big donation? The guy's like 24, 25 years old, man. I mean, the first thing I'd do is buy him a sandwich, buy him a nice meal, like take him out somewhere, because I think he's working too hard, man. I don't know if he's eating right. I don't know. But the fact that he's going to be one of these cats is actually pretty cool. So there's going to be that little bit too, so you can buy the cat version of Vitalik. Anyway, it's different, it's new, it's floating stuff, and you know what? God bless him for making that donation, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. You know, now all the money that's being generated right now in the crypto space, you know, it's interesting to see, you know, private industry doing some outreach, you know, and helping other people. I think it's really important. Hey, did we do this thing with you gave some commentary? Oh no, that was John Deaton had some commentary for you.
Oh yeah, that was a good one too.
I got it right here.
Yeah, throw it up there.
So your comment was more government overreach. You already brought that up, talking about the White House crypto tax enforcement that'll pay for their bipartisan infrastructure deal in the trillions and trillions of dollars. I don't know how much it is, but here you have then John Deaton's response was Senator Warren keeps harping about Jeff Bezos and how her wealth tax will force him to pay $5.4 billion more in taxes. The U.S. government spent over $19.8 billion on Monday, July 26th. So Bezos' wealth tax doesn't even cover half of one day in federal spending. Give me a break.
Well, he's bringing up listen, I mean, yeah, that's the hypocrisy of this. It's like they almost feel like, you know, no one's paying attention. Like, you know, one day, I mean, good gosh, I mean, Bezos can't even cover the spread on that. It's absolutely insane. I mean, what? I don't even know.
If you took all the money from all the people in the world or all the billionaires and just kept taking all their money, it would last, I don't know, you get a couple months out of it, maybe not even, and it'll be gone just like that, poof. And then what do? You know, but it's great. Allow private industry to grow, allow the innovation within the crypto space. Don't push them to other countries, even though other countries are going to want them, you know, and have them come over there and build and develop in their countries. But this is a global thing. You know, we're talking about, you know, from our perspective here, think about crypto from a global perspective. You have the Elizabeth Warrens of the world that have no understanding of what's happening. You think she somehow brighter than Michael Saylor or Elon Musk or Jack Dorsey,
No.
you know, builders and pioneers in their space that understand the value of money and how to make more of it? Is she smarter than the president of El Salvador as he's trying to leverage, or the people of Lebanon as they're trying to protect their assets, or the people of Venezuela? Is she somehow smarter where she's saying that it's not a hedge against inflation? The whole point and purpose of the digital asset space was born because of politicians, because of how they basically devastated the economy.
Yeah.
And then they pointed all their fingers at the mortgage industry. Like, look how bad the mortgage industry is. Look what they did. Look how they destroyed the economy in 2008. Right? It wasn't the mortgage industry.
No, but it is a hedge against inflation. And it's a, you know, you want to call it a store of wealth. Well, you know, buy a little bit of crypto, hang on to it for the same amount of time it would sit in your savings account. It goes up. It's like, okay, that's awesome. And then you can convert it to something else. There's so much you can do with it, Jeff. And it's just anyway, I want to throw this article up here. This is and since two of the women watching this right now that I know about is Ani and Connie Stewart. They're in the chat. I wanted to say this because this was a pretty interesting take, because I read this article and it was in one of our many things we wanted to talk about. But it basically talks about the fact that cryptocurrency has a bro problem. Women in the field say they can disrupt the Bitcoin Brotherhood. And basically the reason I found out about it, so it was trending on Twitter. It was like one of these trending on Twitter. You know, it talks about, you know, crypto and all the bros and they're the problem. And, you know, it says women occupy fewer than 10% of all senior positions. Yeah, that's spot on. Fewer than 20% of leadership positions in tech. But one of the things that they make a couple assessments, and Haley Lennon, I thought this was a really, you know, kind of a brave tweet. She got hammered for this. She said crypto is inclusive and there's many amazing women in the space. Men in the industry have generally been respectful, welcoming. They've helped me a ton in my career. I'm frustrated by this bro narrative, and I'm doing something to change it. Stay tuned. She's kind of saying, Jeff, like, you know, you can sit there and say it all you want, but I'm somebody out there who's making an impact and doing what I can. So, you know, yeah, you can categorize it, but don't categorize me, more or less.
Yeah, exactly.
Then she gets on by saying, hey, by saying this, and she's like saying, hey, I'm not denying women have had really bad experiences. There's definitely room for improvement, but I think it's beneficial to focus on positives and ways we can get better as an industry instead of focusing on how crappy it is. And it's not going to be, you know, have more women involved. So I thought that was pretty good. And some of them said, yeah, that's great. But then a lot of people are like, well, you know, this guy here chimes in. He says, hey, I'd love to see more women hired by companies. We're always looking for enthusiastic people to join the team. The job markets seem to be more male oriented, you know, so she got a bunch of support. Yeah, some of the most dominant minds in the industry are women, and I love it. You know, here's a guy, obviously sci-fi money chat on Twitter skews male, but the workers, the builders, they've got plenty of representation all the way around. I like that one. But, so I thought it was a pretty nice take. It was a pretty good take on that one.
Yeah. It's all good.
He's like, yeah, I don't know what you thought about that, Ani. The women can chime in. Yeah, right here. Look at this. Ani says, I'm not into the women versus men narrative. Is intentionally divisive. Yeah, again, focus on the positive. Say, hey, you know, another way to look at that and say that is, you know, there's not enough women in the space. What do we do to really kind of improve it, help it? How do we encourage, our programs and girls in school to get them more interested or create more outlet? Like, that's a positive. Not like, it's a bro problem, man. It's all about bros, you know? And I think, Ani, you said that absolutely spot on right, man. And you know what? Anthony agrees. He says, Ani, 100%.
Anthony agrees. Yep. So, hey, so do you think Hans Loaded had some commentary on this?
That was a good one, yeah.
Do you think this is for real, or do you think it's kind of a joke? What do you think?
I loved it anyway. I don't care. But
it's great, right?
It sounds positive. Yeah, zoom all the way in on the Dominic one. Yeah, scroll all the way up. We'll just go take it. Yeah. I thought it was actually pretty funny. So Hans tagged us in this one. And it's like, hey, for your information, if you double click the shift panel twice. Now, do you do that, Jeff? Like you accidentally engage the autopilot model and the Tesla Model 3. It'll automatically.
I think about that all the time. Your hand's always on the shifter panel, right? Is it down here? I don't know where the shifter panel is over there. Are they buttons? Is it a real shifter? What is it? I
don't know, but I mean, is there a way that you like click and you hit something else and all of a sudden, boom, you've automatically engaged the autopilot. Now you've just been charged $14,000 on your credit card because you love credit cards, Jeff. You told us
because you didn't purchase because you didn't have it. So I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's possible, you know, but maybe it is. How could it be that? How could it be that loosey-goosey, you know, to upgrade something? So you double click, and I get the shortcut for the autopilot, but you think, hey, I want to drive it. And it would say, sorry, autopilot, you know, not a purchase feature, not an available feature. If you want to buy it, click here. That I get, you know, here, no. So how do we know? I mean, maybe somehow got into it. He's driving. He goes, oh my God, how do we get rid of this thing that just popped up? And he's clicking some buttons, tries to get rid of it. And lo and behold, he just hit the confirm. I want to buy this feature.
Well, it also says there was no password prompt. There's no credit card challenge. Just 14,000. Bam. I don't know.
His father-in-law says, you know, I mean, that's like.
His wife spent 14 grand. I don't know. She had a good time. Who knows? Showed up as
does anybody have a Tesla in here? Someone's got to have a Tesla.
Is there a jewelry store named Tesla? Anybody know that? Is there a jewelry store out there named that, or like some other place named Tesla? I saw Tesla, man. But it probably would have said autopilot. I don't know.
What?
I find it. I don't know. I mean, I just find it seems a little bit bizarro. So just to show you how incredible the space is growing, look at this. This is just this week alone. Blockworks reported about 700 million in funding news, and it's not even Friday. You had Genesis Mining, they raised 125 million. Prime Trust Co., their custody for institutional, they raised 64 million. You got Lolly, which is an app that every time you use it buys sats, Satoshis, and credits them to your account for, perks. And on the Bitcoin side, 10 million, they just raised the Series A. and Biconomy raises 9 million. It's just like incredible what's happening in the space. That's all the money going into space this week. It's pretty crazy, man.
It's massive. But Elizabeth Warren knows what she's talking about. All these other people, all these VCs have no idea what they're talking about.
You know what? Do you think she's stacking Bitcoin? Right? Do you think she's stacking Bitcoin or something along those lines? She's got to be doing something.
I'm sure she is. I'm sure she's, she's stacking some XRPs, some XLMs, some Bitcoin. I wouldn't doubt that there's a lot within Congress, and they always try to say, well, I don't manage my investments, and I don't know how I came in here making $180,000 a year, and now I'm worth $100 million. Not sure how it happened because I don't manage the finances, and I came in here with nothing. My net worth was under $1 million, and now I'm worth $100 million. I don't know, so I gotta believe that they're somehow invested, in the digital asset space. Maybe they're buying some GBTC. Maybe they're jumping on the ARK bandwagon. Maybe they
should disclose it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. At some point they're going to have, especially now, if she's going to come out bashing it, but Chip, I wonder about that. All this talk within the space, within government, delaying and doing all this stuff and trying to push it down and suppress, the people from holding it because they want to wrench it out of people's hands, right? How do you take it from the people? You say it has no value. It's not a hedge against inflation. You keep trying to either push the price down or you're trying to manage price so you can buy into it. So she's just like, buy, come on.
She's pulling a Jamie Dimon. Bitcoin is bad. And then I see they're like loading up the truck in the back. Red says, Rob Cash is off the site. Yeah, we announced this earlier where Rob had something come up. I spoke to him earlier and he's like, hey, man, something came up. He had a couple things and look, you got to take care of stuff first. And this is something you can do when you got all your other stuff handled. And we're going to find out a little bit tomorrow. We're going to touch base and I'm going to see if he's good to go tomorrow. Otherwise, we'll be back next week. But don't worry, Rob Cash will be on the OTC set. He's been here before. He'll be back.
He'll be back. So Anthony, from Belfast is asking, is the capital gains tax for crypto in the U.S. really 40%? But there really is no capital gains tax per se. You do get taxed and they want to tax you. I'm sure they're going to want like 50, 60%.
They're going to want their hand. They want their hands on everything. No one ever knocks on your door and says, hey, buddy, listen, come here. Listen, we want to lower your taxes. What? One guy did that. You remember that? It was the last president. Came in and said, hey, we're going to lower your taxes. And who whined like little witches? Because that's a substitute word. They're like, oh, no, you can't do that. And meanwhile, more money flowed into the treasury because that's how economics works. When people have more free disposable income, they tend to spread it around a little bit and spend it. You know what I mean? So that's how it works.
Johnny Crypto is saying, can y'all get Eddie on the show or Bearable Bull? How about Crypto Eddie? We've had her on.
We've had Eddie on many times.
We need to have her back on the show.
We do have to get her back on the show. She should have been here on OG week. We'll extend it in the next week because maybe, I'd love to get the Bearable Bull on the show. So you guys, listen, you guys play a big part in that. First of all, we're working on a guest right now because it came from you. And as far as somebody you wanted to say, hey, can you interview this person? And I'm not saying it because I don't want to jinx it. But, in theory, we've agreed to do it, an interview. And it came from here. It came from the OTC family saying, so you guys just hit the Bearable Bull up and say, hey, man, go on OTC, hammer him. And say, I've had some exchange with the Bearable Bull. I think Jeff has too. He's pretty, busy doing his thing, but, we always like people, last night we had Jungle on. Jungle wasn't showing his face, but he's at home. He's kicked at home. He's watching his kid. And, Jungle doesn't have to do that. Jungle is a legend in the space. Usually, the Bearable Bull, we bring him on. Let's talk some crypto, man. I'm all open to it. We like people to show their face that they don't feel comfortable. We understand they want to protect their identity. Not everyone's dumb enough to use their real name. I mean, some people are. I'm not going to say everybody would do it, but it sounded like a good idea when I got on Twitter like 11 and a half years ago. But, what are you going to do, man? It happens. It happens. Jeff, it's about this time where I tell everybody, if it's your very first time here or if you've been here a bunch of times, go ahead and do it. Like, subscribe, and click that ding, ding, ding notification bell. That way you get notified anytime we go live, which is 6 days a week. Very simple. Like, subscribe, bing, click that notification bell. And by the way, I was checking stats yesterday. 20% of the people click that notification bell. 20% of the 17,000 subscribers get a notification.
Wow.
It's
So we
sad.
need to increase that number.
We need to
Let's,
get up to 30 or 40 or 100%, somewhere up there.
let's put out an objective for 50%. 50%. If you
I'll take 25
haven't-
at this point, Jeff. Let's
if
not
you
be
haven't
greedy.
clicked the bell, if you've never clicked the bell, go ahead and click it. You got nothing to lose. Nothing.
Maybe about 3 seconds of your life, but that's all right.
That's
We'll
it.
fill it with other things, man. You know, maybe a little laugh here, a little ha-ha here, and a little hoo-hoo. And Edward says, when I get losses, they're not even compensated by the government, which is fine with me. But when I've got profits, all of a sudden the government, they want a big part of the pie. Like they're like pulling all the chips in, right? Yeah, well, that's exactly how it works.
But I'll tell you what, Chip, as a final on this, with all the conversation, good or bad, even if Elizabeth Warren doesn't know what she's talking about, even with that, you know, there's a movement towards regulatory clarity. There's a movement towards having a conversation over creating some sort of, you know, regulatory path for cryptocurrency. We know who sits on the bad side. We know who sits on the good side. They have to have a meeting of the minds and find somewhere in the middle. We know we got the Shermanator, Elizabeth Warren, and others on one side. And then you got Darren Soto and Warren Davidson and Tom Emmer and Ted Budd. And there's a bunch of them on the good side. And they'll figure it out, man. They're going to battle it out. They're going to get in Congress. It's going to be fight night. They're going to put the octagon in the center of the House floor, and they're going to go at it. And that's how they're going to make their decision. How about
Ani's already bailed, okay? She's like, thank you, Chip, Jeff, crypto fan.
Have a good night.
She's already bailed. She's like, I'm out of here. GVLT says, great show. We got Anthony Johnson. He has to reveal his face, though. We'd like to. We're not going to force him. Mahalo says, bearable bull bringing aggressively life-transforming content. So yeah, guys, and we listen. I reached out to Working Money. Yeah, I also thought, you know, Adam, I'd like to have. So some people are like, they're just busy, man. And Jeff and I understand this. So we cut everybody a break. You know, we're trying to get Kevin Cage on here too, and he's kind of like, yeah, dude, I got so much going on right now. Look, you're making a couple of videos, you're doing your life, you have your family. You know, Jeff and I are doing the same thing. It's like, you know, you don't have the bandwidth to go like, hey, you want to go on someone's show? No, man, I'm trying to figure out my life. You know, I don't have time for that. But again, you guys can help too. You guys go ahead and click on that. You tag us in the comment. We say, yeah, open invitation. Come on. We'd love to have you on the show. Sometimes that's the best way to make it happen. And that's all I got, Jeff. What do you got?
We got Darcy saying 589%. When the borders are clear and open and we can travel again, we're going to do the on the chain tour of Ireland. How about that?
Mr. Poole, like that too. Yeah, I'd love to go back to Ireland, man.
That'll be awesome. So
celebrity death matches between politicians be the greatest show ever. Yeah, what do they say? 2 men enter, 1 man leave. 2 politicians enter, no politicians leave. It's just send me some XRP awesome. And I'll click that bell. Come on, Chiab. That's a little bit rough, man. Come on, man. We're doing this. They're doing this for your enjoyment. All right, guys, we got to get out of here. We'll see you tomorrow night. Possibly Rob will be back. If he's not, don't worry. He will be back on the OTC set very shortly.
Tomorrow is Thursday.
It's Thursday. Let's do this, guys. Wow. Let's close out the week strong so you can be back in the hot seat with Jeff on Saturday morning. See you guys in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.